Shalom Aleichem, and welcome to JW3's 80th birthday tribute to the Nobel Prize-winning rock poet Bob Dylan. My name is Seth Rogovoy, and I've been listening to and writing about Bob Dylan for about 45 years or so, in the pages of various newspapers and magazines, and in my 2009 book, Bob Dylan, Prophet, Mystic, Poet, in which I explored Dylan's life and career through a Jewish lens. So when the good people at JW3 approached me about putting together a virtual musical event to celebrate Dylan's 80th birthday, I was thrilled with the opportunity to share some of my insights into his work, but even more so, to invite an international cast of 4 of my favorite musical artists to offer their interpretations of Dylan's work. Joining us for the birthday party are Britain's own folk rock singer-songwriter Lael Arad, the American expatriate artist Daniel Kahn, who recently moved from Berlin to Hamburg, Dutch singer Nikki Jacobs, and Jewish hip-hop artist So-Called based in Montreal in Canada. These 4 will share their thoughts about Dylan, his impact on their lives and art, and what made them choose the songs they have recorded for us. If you're watching this program on May 24th, 2021, then 80 years ago today in Duluth, Minnesota in the USA, a son was born to Beatrice and Abram Zimmerman. They gave him the Hebrew name Shavtai Zizel ben Avraham. His American name was Robert Allen Zimmerman, and throughout his early years he was variously called Robert, Bobby, and affectionately Zimmy by his friends. Dylan even sang about his nicknames in a 1979 song called Gotta Serve Somebody. When young Bobby was about 6 years old, his family, which now included a younger brother named David, moved to a small industrial town in northern Minnesota near the Canadian border called Hibbing. It was Beatty Zimmerman's hometown, and the Zimmerman clan had already established themselves here, and Abe Zimmerman's brothers invited him to join them in running a downtown appliance store, which served the mostly working-class population of a town literally built by a large iron ore mining company. Hibbing was what we call a company town, where almost everybody either worked directly for the mining company or engaged in business that served and supported the large population of miners living there. Though not wealthy by any stretch, the greater Zimmerman clan were solidly middle class. Their business interest extended to owning and operating a small chain of cinemas in the greater region, giving young Bobby access to pretty much all the movies being churned out by Hollywood in the late 1940s and 50s. Years later, bits of movie dialogue would show up in some of Bob Dylan's lyrics, and Dylan would have a somewhat parallel career in film, writing and directing several of his own movies, starring as an actor in several others, and being the self-conscious subject of several documentary films that helped to create and perpetuate his unique image. The Zimmermans and the Stones, Bob's mother was Beatty Stone before she married Abe Zimmerman, were a multi-generational family that included older, Yiddish-speaking immigrants who clung to the religious and social customs of the shtetls from which they came. A grandmother who spoke only Yiddish lived with Bobby's family for a time, and the sight of his grandfather and uncles rapping tefillin for the morning prayers or sitting at their table studying the Talmud in the afternoon was just a normal part of Bobby's everyday. But enough talk by me. Speaking of Dylan's immigrant ancestors provides the perfect segue into the very first song we're going to hear, I Pity the Poor Immigrant, sung in Yiddish translation by Daniel Kahn.
Hello, my name is Daniel Kahn, and I'm coming to you here from Berlin. It's a real honor to be celebrating Bob Dylan's 80th birthday with a größten Mazel Tov, bis 120, as we say. I'm going to sing a couple of my versions of his songs. Songs that when he wrote them, he may not have realized that they were actually Yiddish songs. But they are indeed. yeah, I'll do one then the other. So, Scheinem Dank. Rachmones auf ein Immigrant, was bedeuert verlosen sein Heim, was schafft a Welt mit Beiskeit, nur bleibt zum Sof allein. Der, was schwindelt mit die Händ und scheckert durch die Zehn, was fahr sein Leben hat nur Feind, not moire sein Vergehen. Rachmones auf ein Immigrant, sein Koyech ist umsiest, sein Himmel ist an Eisenwand, sein Jam von Tränen gießt. Fresst nur wird nicht keinmal satt, hört nur bleibt als blind. Verliebt sich in Gewehrschaft, verwahrlost mich hat Sinn. Rachmones auf ein Immigrant, was schleppt sich durch ein Keut, was füllt sein Mäul mit Häusig und beut sein Stott von Teut, was sein Chisoyen sof kol sof darf kalle werden gut. Rachmones auf ein Immigrant, wenn sein Fried wird werden wohl.
That was Daniel Kahn performing Bob Dylan's I Pity the Poor Immigrant. Dan has been translating great works by the folk rock poets for several years now. You might be familiar with his Yiddish version of Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah. If you're not familiar with Dan's original work, check him out on YouTube. I think you'll especially like the music he makes with his band, The Painted Bird. Dan will be back with us here during the second half of our show. The next performer we're going to hear from is Nicky Jacobs from the Netherlands. Nicky is multi-talented and performs a broad range of music. Like Daniel Kahn, Nicky also translates non-Yiddish songs into Yiddish, although that's not what we're going to hear her do today. I love Nicky's renditions of Bob Dylan's songs because, for one, they're beautiful. And beauty is perhaps not the first adjective that comes to mind when one thinks of Bob Dylan. But Nicky finds the beauty inside Dylan's songs that might otherwise be heard as dark and gloomy. Nicky also goes deep inside herself when she interprets Bob Dylan's songs. It's not so much that she changes them in any big way. Her versions are relatively loyal to the originals. It's just that she finds a way to channel both Dylan's meaning from her own emotional center. The first song Nicky will perform for us is called Not Dark Yet. Nicky will explain what the song means to her, but I just wanted to give it a little context. The song first appeared on Bob Dylan's great comeback album of 1997, when at a time that he was all but written off as a creative artist, he released one of the greatest albums of his career, the Grammy Award-winning Time Out of Mind. It's an intensely reflective collection of songs, many of which seem laden with images of mortality. I even sense a relationship between several of the album's key numbers and the Yom Kippur liturgy in songs like Standing in the Doorway and Trying to Get to Heaven. Not Dark Yet also seems inspired by Yom Kippur. What is the day about if not waiting for the sun to set after a full day of repentance meant to garner oneself another year of life? Dylan sings, "Shadows are falling and I've been here all day." The perfect description of what it feels like to be in the Ne'ilah service, the concluding service of the Yom Kippur liturgy, as sundown approaches. Dylan sings, "I was born here and I'll die here against my will," recalling Judah Hanassi's redaction of biblical wisdom gathered in the Mishnah around the year 200 CE, where it is written, quote, "Against your will you were born, against your will you die." But enough from me. Let's turn things over to Nikki Jacobs.
Once in a while, you get across a certain song that hits you immediately. It gets under your skin and it takes you to a place that, or basically, this song took me to a place that I had basically forgotten. It's a song where, for me, hope and darkness slightly touch each other, and it's absolutely gorgeous. To me, this is all about love. We're gonna sing your song for you, dear Bob Dylan. Happy birthday. Not Dark Yet.
Shadows are falling, and I've been here all day. It's too hot to sleep. Time's running away. Feel like my soul has turned into steel. Still got the scars that the sun didn't heal. There's not even room enough to be anywhere. It's not dark yet, but it's getting there. Well, my sense of humanity has gone down the drain. Behind every beautiful thing, there's been some kind of pain. She wrote me a letter, oh, and she wrote it so kind. She put down in writing what was in her mind. And I just don't see why I should even care. It's not dark yet, but it's getting there. I've been to London, I've been to Paris, I followed the river, and I got to the sea. Been down on the bottom, oh, of a world full of lies. I ain't looking for nothing in anyone else's eyes. Sometimes my burden, oh, is more than I can bear. It's not dark yet, ooh, but it's getting there. I know I was born here, and I'll die here against my will. It looks like I'm moving, but I am standing still. Every nerve in my body is so vacant and numb. I can't even remember what I was that I came and get away from. I don't even hear a murmur of a prayer. It's not dark yet, ooh, but it's getting there. It's not dark yet, ooh, but it's getting there.
That was Nikki Jacobs, accompanied by guitarist Ivo Bernard, performing Bob Dylan's song Not Dark Yet. Nikki will be back with us again in the second half of our show. When putting together this program with the good folks from JW3, we discussed both generally and particularly which artists we would like to have in the program. Bob Dylan has, of course, been so monumentally influential that almost every musician, certainly all folk singers and singer-songwriters, have some kind of direct connection to Dylan and his songs. But we didn't want to limit this birthday tribute only to those working in that particular idiom, for which Bob Dylan is best known. While Lael, Nikki, and Dan were already known to us for having relationships to Bob Dylan's work, we had no clue if Josh Dolgan, otherwise known as So-Called, had any connection to Dylan's music at all. In fact, I assumed he had none. But we're all such big fans of So-Called's work, and we really wanted to find a way to include him in this program. I'm a strong believer in So-Called's genius, and I also like to challenge artists to do things that are new and different and perhaps beyond their comfort zones. And I knew that Josh would find his own way into Dylan if we asked him to try. As you can see from the following video, not only did he find a place vis-a-vis Bob Dylan, he even seems to have had lots of fun doing it at the same time.
I'm really not very familiar with the work of Bob Dylan. Somehow I just never really got into it. I was always into funk, into hip-hop, and into world music. I sort of missed the folk music thing. So this project was really interesting for me to hear as a musician and as a Jewish musician, to sort of dive into some of his lyrics. And I chose the Animals song because it seemed really, on the surface, quite simple and cute and kind of a funny song. And I think it kind of is cute and a beautiful, simple, funny song. But it's also pretty deep and makes you think about in the beginning, and the idea of in the beginning, that's actually the first words of the Torah, Bereshit. And so is he talking about man? Is he talking about God? Is he talking about the creation of the world? Is it just a funny kind of list song for kids about animals? Is it all those things? And could I sort of infuse it with a bit of my flavor, of a kind of a hip-hop flavor, but also a kind of a Jewish flavor, and kind of bring it all together? And I tried to do that. So here it is. This is Man Gave Names to the Animals by Bob Dylan. Happy birthday, Bob Dylan, wherever you are.
Man gave names to all the animals in the beginning, in the beginning. Man gave names to all the animals in the beginning, long time ago. He saw an animal that liked to growl, big furry paws, and he liked to howl. Great big furry back and a furry hair. I think I'll call it bear. He saw an animal up on a hill, chewing up so much grass until she was filled. He saw milk coming out and he didn't know how. I think I'll call it cow. Man gave names to all the animals in the beginning, in the beginning. Man gave names to all the animals in the beginning, long time ago. He saw an animal that liked to snort, horns on its head and they weren't too short. He looked like there was nothing it couldn't pull. I think I'll call it bull. He saw an animal leaving a muddy trail, real dirty face and a curly tail. He wasn't too small and he wasn't too big. I think I'll call it pig. Why not? Man gave names to all the animals in the beginning, in the beginning. Man gave names to all the animals in the beginning, Bereshit in the beginning. Next animal that he did meet had wool on its back and hooves on its feet, eating grass on a mountain top so steep. I think I'll call it sheep. He saw an animal as smooth as glass, slithering his way through the grass. Saw him disappear by a tree in the lake. Oh, I think I'll call it snake. Come on! Man gave names to all the animals in the beginning, in the beginning. Man gave names to all the animals in the beginning, long time ago. What up, Bear?
That was Josh Dolgan, otherwise known as So-Called, from Montreal performing Man Gave Names to All the Animals from Bob Dylan's Slow Train Coming album. Josh will be back with another Dylan tune in the second half of our show. Lael Arad is a London-born singer-songwriter best known for her sharp lyrics, arresting voice, and art house quality music videos. Check them out on YouTube. She's also has a casual, fun side to her that is equally infectious and perfectly in sync with Bob Dylan, who early and always balanced the seriousness of his approach with lightheartedness and the comic physicality of a Charlie Chaplin. We're so glad to have Lael with us among today's handful of guest artists. Lael gives a fine introduction to the first song she's going to play for us, so let's just let her remarks introduce it without further ado.
Hello to you all on this very special day. My name is Lael Arad. I'm coming to you from London, and it's an honor to be part of these 80th birthday celebrations for Bob Dylan. It's impossible to overestimate the impact that his music has had on me, on my music and songwriting certainly, but even in a broader sense. I was brought up on his songs since I was in the womb, and I'm pretty sure that this little one here is already very familiar with his greatest hits. So this feels very special. The first song that I have chosen to play for you is one of my very favorites. It's from the album Blood on the Tracks, this one here. And I don't want to say too much about it. It helped me through a very different moment in my life, and I hope I can do it justice. Our conversation was short and sweet. It nearly swept me off of my feet, and I'm back in the rain. Oh, you were on dry land. You made it there somehow. You're a big boy now. Bird on the horizon, sitting on the fence. He's singing his song for me at his own expense, and I'm just like that bird, oh, singing just for you. I hope that you can hear me singing through these tears. Time is a jet plane, it moves too fast. Oh, but what a shame that all we shared can't last. I can't change, I swear. See what you can do. I can make it through. You can make it too. Love is so simple, to quote a phrase. You've known it all the time, I'm just learning it these days. Now I know where to find you. Oh, in somebody's room. It's the price I have to pay. I'm a bigger all the way. The change in the weather is known to be extreme. But what's the sense of changing horses in midstream? I'm going out of my mind. Oh, with a pain that stops and starts.
That was Lael Arad with You're a Big Girl Now, the first of 2 songs she will perform for us today. Before we get back to So-Called, playing one of my most favorite Bob Dylan songs of all time, I just wanted to once again welcome you all to JW3's Happy Birthday Bob, a musical tribute to Bob Dylan on the occasion of the Nobel Prize-winning rock poet's 80th birthday. If you're just tuning in, I'm your host, Seth Rogovoy, and I will guide you through another 4 performances from our spectacular guest artists, offering their interpretations of their favorite Bob Dylan songs. I've always felt that the next song, called Everything is Broken, and found on Bob Dylan's 1987 album Oh Mercy, was somehow inspired by the basic concept underlining Lurianic Kabbalah, that the very act of creation unintentionally resulted in a world where everything is broken, and where it is humanity's task to repair the brokenness of the world through a process called tikkun olam, or fixing the universe. It is through these acts of fixing and repair that humanity tries to bring together the shards of divine energy that will then help usher in the Messianic age. But enough from me. Let's hear Josh Dolgan, otherwise known as So-Called, talk about what attracted him to Everything is Broken, and listen to what he does with this song when he puts it through the so-called filter machine.
I've never sung any Bob Dylan songs. This is my first time. And it was interesting to look at his lyrics as someone who comes from hip-hop and from rap, the rap world. And so I chose Everything is Broken because it's really, to me, just these kind of simple rhymes that become very powerful poetical images. And I wanted to sort of do a Bob Dylan song like a rap song. So here is Everything is Broken. Happy birthday, Bob.
Everything is broken. Broken lines, broken strings, broken threads and broken springs, broken idols, broken heads, people sleeping in broken beds. Ain't no use jiving, ain't no use joking. Everything is broken, broken. Broken bottles and broken plates, broken switches, broken gates, broken dishes, broken parts. The streets are filled with broken hearts, broken words never meant to be spoken. Everything is broken. Seems like every time you stop and turn around, something else just hit the ground. Broken cutters and broken saws, broken buckles, broken laws, broken bodies, broken bones, broken voices on broken phones. Take a deep breath, feels like you're choking. Everything is broken. Everything is broken. Every time you leave and go off someplace, things fall to pieces in my face. Broken hands on broken plows, broken treaties, broken vows, broken pipes, broken tools, people bending broken rules, hound dog howling, bullfrog croaking. Everything's broken. Everything is broken.
I have to say also about Everything is Broken that, it kind of sounds like a cranky old Jewish man kvetching about how everything's gone to hell in a handbasket, which, if you think about it, is exactly the role of the Jewish prophet before the people, and certainly has been a long-standing job description for Bob Dylan. Here's Lael Arad again with a rendition of a song first written during Bob Dylan's basement tapes period of sessions, hunkered down in a basement in Woodstock, New York in 1968, with a handful of musicians who soon became known as the band. Here's Lael.
Hello again. I've moved to guitar for my second number. This is one of those songs that you know and love, but have stored away somewhere in the back of your mind without really ever paying it too much attention or thinking too deeply about what it might be about, until one day JW3 asks you to pick songs for Dylan's 80th birthday, and it immediately springs to mind. I still don't claim to know what it's about. I think it's beautifully open to interpretation, but I have no doubt that Seth will find some beautifully Jewish interpretations for it. This is Down in the Flood. Crash on the levee, mama, water's gonna overflow. Swamp's gonna rise and no boat's gonna row. Well, you can train on down to Williams Point. You can bust your feet, you can rock this joint. Oh, oh, mama, ain't you gonna miss your best friend now? You're gonna have to find yourself another best friend somehow. Don't try and move me, 'cause mama, you're just gonna lose. There's been a crash on the levee and mama, you've been refused. Now it's king for king and it's queen for queen. It's gonna be the meanest flood that anybody's ever seen. Oh, mama, ain't you gonna miss your best friend now? You're gonna have to find yourself another best friend somehow. Well, high tide's rising, mama, don't you let me down. Pack up your suitcase, mama, don't you make a sound. 'Cause it's sugar for sugar and it's salt for salt. If you go down in the flood, it's gonna be your own fault. Oh, mama, ain't you gonna miss your best friend now? You're gonna have to find yourself another best friend somehow. Happy birthday, Robert Zimmerman.
Lael sort of threw the ball back to me to point out that the Jewish aspect of Down in the Flood, which on some level I'm sure is pretty obvious to most of you, you cannot really refer to the flood in poetry or literature without in some way tying your words to the original and most famous of all floods, that being the one with which God destroyed all the living creatures in the world, except for Noah and his family, and one representative pair of every animal species, all of whom boarded Noah's Ark, and after 40 days and 40 nights of destruction, the waters receded and the inhabitants of the ark returned to the lands and the waters to repopulate the earth. All that in a serio-comic Bob Dylan song called Down in the Flood, or as it is sometimes referred to as Crash on the Levee. We are indeed getting towards the end of our program. One of Bob Dylan's most enduring songs from his middle period, what some call his Christian phase, is a song called Every Grain of Sand, Countless artists have covered it since it first appeared on Dylan's 1981 album Shot of Love, including Emmylou Harris, Barb Younger, the Blind Boys of Alabama, Sheryl Crow, and Liz Wright. The song refers variously to Cain's chain of events that I can't break, Abraham's seed as sand on the seashore, and in particular, it draws its imagery from Psalm 139. It's a retrospective song looking back with nostalgia and some regret upon the past. Like Not Dark Yet, almost 20 years down the line, this song also draws heavily upon the Yom Kippur experience, particularly in the lines, "In the time of my confession, in the hour of my deepest need, when the pool of tears beneath my feet flood every newborn seed." I had a feeling that Nikki Jacobs would knock this one out of the park, as we say in America, and I'm so glad she agreed to work up her poignant, tender rendition of Every Grain of Sand.
Hi everyone. When we started working on this song, Every Grain of Sand, it struck me how incredibly beautiful the lyrics are of this song. And it felt to me that by diving deeper into them, it could have been a poem written in 1830, somewhere in an old Yiddish shtetl outside of Vilna, for example, except the lyrics then would have been in Yiddish. But its infinite beauty and power of the lyrics transcend time and space. So here's our Every Grain of Sand. In the time of my confession, in the hour of my deepest need, when the pool of tears beneath my feet flood every newborn seed, there's a dying voice within me, reaching out somewhere, toiling in the danger and in the morals of despair. Don't have the inclination to look back on any mistake. Like Cain, I now behold this chain of events that I must break. In the fury of the moment, I can see the Master's hand in every leaf that trembles, in every grain of sand. Oh, the flowers of indulgence and the weeds of yesteryear, like criminals, they have choked the breath of conscience and good cheer. The sun beat down upon the steps of time to light the way, to ease the pain of idleness and the memory of decay. I gaze into the doorway of temptation's angry flame, and every time I pass that way, I always hear my name. And onward in my journey, I come to understand that every hair is numbered like every grain of sand.
Sorrow of the night, in the violence of a summer stream, in the chill of a wintry light, in the bitter dance of loneliness fading into space, in the broken mirror of innocence on each forgotten face. I hear the ancient footsteps like the motion of the sea. Sometimes I turn, there's someone there Other times it's only me. I'm hanging in the balance of the reality of man, like every sparrow falling, like every grain of sand.
So beautiful. Thank you, Nikki, and I'm sure Bob Dylan thanks you too. Well, we only have time for one last song. But how does one choose a finale for a program such as this, celebrating the 80th birthday of a man who's given so much joy and pleasure and food for thought to so many of us for nearly our entire lives? I took a page out of Bob Dylan's own playbook, and I asked Daniel Kahn if he would record his version of I Shall Be Released for us. Another product of those Basement Tapes era sessions, the song is a statement of defiance from someone wronged, a cry of betrayal from the heart, and a yearning plea for transcendence. It's the go-to song for all those major all-star celebrity charity benefit concerts, with or without Dylan, and for good reason. In the end, it imagines a world transformed, a world redeemed, a world in which the wicked are punished and the just are rewarded. Take it away, Daniel Kahn.
Die ganze Welt ist voll mit Sonne und wie ein Jahr ist jede Show. Nur ich gedenk noch jeden Ponem, was hat mich verschlossen dort. Mein Morgensohn wird scheinen, soll die Zeit nicht sein zu weit. Kommt der Tag schon, kommt der Tag schon, ich will sein befreit. Man sagt, ein Mensch darf haben Koje, wenn es wird seine ganze Welt verlennt. Ich seh mein Abschein in der Höhe, weiter über die Füße wehen. Mein Morgensohn wird scheinen, soll die Zeit nicht sein zu weit. Kommt der Tag schon, kommt der Tag schon, ich will sein befreit. Dort steht der Jad in jener Bande, lässt raus als Gewein. Man hat mich eingesetzt auf Grande, meine Schumme ist doch rein. Mein Morgensohn wird scheinen, soll die Zeit nicht sein zu weit. Kommt der Tag schon, kommt der Tag schon, ich will sein befreit. Kommt der Tag schon, kommt der Tag schon, ich will sein befreit. Bleib gesund und stark.
Well, that about wraps it up for our Happy Birthday Bob celebration and tribute to Bob Dylan on the occasion of his 80th birthday. I'm Seth Rogovoy, and I want to thank Lail Arad, Daniel Kahn, Nikki Jacobs, and So-Called for taking my calls, and I want to thank the great people at JW3 for giving me this great, fun assignment, therefore giving me a platform in my own small way to say, Happy birthday, Bob, and Ad Mea Ve'esrim, as we say, may you live to be 120 and continue, even beyond then, on your never-ending tour. Thank you.